All right, gang. Welcome to another super fun Wednesday class. Glad to have you all here. Just a quick reminder, just at the start of class, that we want to minimize our socializing for the start of class, maybe during some rest time in between, and then after class when we're stretching. Okay, let's try to have fewer interruptions. If at any point you have someone come into the room or someone's chatting in another room and it's audible to you, the phone rings, anything like that, just put yourself on mute. That would be super, super appreciated so that we don't hear it. And so people can concentrate on what we're doing and what I'm saying, okay? So today, the focus is going to be on energy systems.
Ooh.
How exciting. So we're going to talk about how your body kind of makes energy and what that means for you and how does that apply to our different cardio type things that we do in class. Okay. So does anyone know, this is just a fun trivia question, does anyone know what the key molecule of energy is?
Oxygen.
Oxygen is used to create it, but there's something, and it's usually called the currency of the body. It's what's key. It's what our prime energy is.
Carbon dioxide?
Is it water?
It is this fun thing called ATP.
Wow.
Oh.
CP.
And I'll be honest, you know how I get with counting, and you've sometimes heard me pronounce words. I never pronounce it right. So I'm not going to even try. If Alana wants to say it, you go for it.
I think it's pronounced adenosine triphosphate.
Gesundheit.
Yeah, good.
Good grief.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh yeah, if I have to go to the pharmacist and say the medication that we're looking for or read off someone's report, I'm a nightmare with pronouncing things. So, but the short form is ATP. Okay. And I love how some of you identified that you do need oxygen to create that ATP. And that's part of the reason why sometimes you get tired, right? A lot of you, your bodies struggle with getting oxygen into your body. So when we have that limited oxygen, and you can usually see it on your numbers if you're using your oximeter to see that oxygen percentage, as it lowers, you'll notice yourself getting more puffed and more tired. And part of that, there's lots of reasons for that, but part of it is because your body doesn't have the oxygen to match the energy demand. Now, what does that mean for exercise? Well, it means a couple things. One way of exercising is when we work on your endurance. So endurance is, can we keep going at a steady pace? And everybody's steady pace is a little bit different, right? So as an example, I'm going to encourage you to start moving your arms. So you can just move them in a figure 8. Now, as we start to move our arms, a couple different things happen. Starting to move our body signals your body that work is being done. And that's the reason why we always start with a bit of a warm-up. We start off at lower intensity before we get up to any higher intensity movements. And that's because it preps your body, it prepares, it gives it an advance warning of what needs to happen. So your body needs to increase your heart rate a little bit because you are working harder than you are just sitting and not moving. You need to, and that increased heart rate is going to get blood flowing around. It's going to move oxygen from your lungs to different parts of your body. So that's super, super important because as we start moving more, your body needs more oxygen in order to create that ATP, that energy, so that you can actually move. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yep.
So far? Perfect. Now, everyone gets tired at a different rate. There's different reasons for that. So if at any point you feel tired, just remember, you can rest, you can go into your recovery breathing. Your recovery position is hands on your thighs, leaning forward. So make sure you're kind of paying attention to your body. We want this feeling light. And as you know, as I get talking, I lose track of how long we've been doing something. So throughout today, there's lots of talking. So feel free just to yell time or Jill, and I'll get the message that, boy, we need to move on with our movements. Okay, so now rest there. Now, if that felt tiring, that's okay. And we'll talk a little bit about what levels, at what levels can be impacted for where your body has that kind of weakness in absorbing oxygen. Because depending on that, it sometimes impacts where you feel the fatigue most. Okay, so if you find your muscles get tired in that, you're going, oh, my muscles are tired. Well, one, that could be a strength thing. We've been working on building our strength. That will improve. But on that endurance level, right? Endurance is the ability to keep going for a period of time. It could be that your muscles' ability to grab the oxygen from where it's moving around your bloodstream and pick it up and use it. That might be a bit of a weakness. And so again, that's where strength training helps that. That's where our endurance training helps that. Okay, let's get our heels lifting up and down. Has anyone been practicing their toe exercises?
Yep.
Yes,
Awesome. Perfect, perfect, perfect.
they're working.
That's good. I'm so happy to hear that.
They're not stiff.
Good, yeah, because it takes that consistency so that you're not getting as stiff. Has anyone found walking to be a little bit different?
Yes, very
Yeah.
much so.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. That's awesome. Now back to the endurance piece, that ability to keep moving for a period of time. That should be, our endurance should be a bit of a baseline. So when we talk about going for a longer period of time, we use different energy systems, and I'm going to keep it more simple today. You can think of it as there's two key systems. There's your aerobic, and you hear about aerobic exercise. You might have even heard of doing your aerobics in the 80s with all those step classes. And aerobic from an energy system perspective means that it's constant movement at a level where your work that's being done is your body's still able to bring in the oxygen that you need. So you're able to go for a longer period of time. So to keep it simple, you can think of your aerobic as endurance. Okay? So you'll notice we were able to do this for a couple of minutes. Probably long enough that you're going, when are we switching movements? My calves are tired. What the heck? So now you can just step one foot out at a time. And again, depending on what your body is dealing with, some of you, your endurance overall is maybe just a minute. And then you need to stop and rest and bring your oxygen back up. Some of you are able to go for longer, okay? And that's okay. Remember, it's all about improvement for you and where and what your body is capable of. So this endurance piece, it should feel moderate. So when we talk about, someone talks about, okay, gang, we're gonna go for a minute or longer, your aerobic system, that ability for your body to meet the oxygen demand of your body to create that ATP, that is your endurance. And you need to make sure, remember when we talk about our motto is challenging yet doable, that has to do with, okay, being able to just keep going. And when we talk about intensity, you've got to find that middle ground intensity where you are able to go for a period of time. And again, how much time, that depends on you and your body. A good goal, we can say 30 to 90 seconds. So on a day where you're struggling with your breath, a moderate, your middle ground intensity is a pace that you can maintain for 30 seconds. On days where you're feeling really good, maybe it's 60 seconds. Awesome. And rest there. Now let's just start opening up one arm at a time. Now, I did a bad thing. I didn't even remind you about your breathing pattern through all this.
Doing it.
You're doing it.
You're still
Perfect.
doing
That's what I like to hear. Excellent. And that's another key thing with endurance, guys, is your ability to maintain your breathing pattern. Okay? So you're able to maintain that steady breath. Yes, it might get a bit faster. Okay? But that's different than going into our higher intensities. And we're going to go into that just a little bit really briefly so that we can talk about the differences. Okay? So keep opening up one arm at a time. And maybe you need to go slower. So remember a couple things. And I always tell you in class, there's a couple things that you can do to adjust a movement for your breathing. So a couple of things that make your oxygen demand higher, meaning you need more oxygen to do this movement. Meaning if you are having a poor breathing day, you need to do the opposite. You need to back off. So things that require more oxygen are the more you move your limb, so the more range of motion. I stretch out my arm and I move it back slightly with control. That's going to take more oxygen than just opening up and keeping my arm close to me. So that's one way you can adjust how much oxygen is required for a movement. Another way is how quickly you go. If you start moving that arm up just a little bit quicker and you're still in control of the movement, that's going to require more oxygen. And you guys know that anytime we start moving faster, it's, oh, geez, now I'm puffed. And that happens with everybody. The faster they go, the harder it is to do. Good, and slow it down again. Again, at any point you need to rest. You take charge of your body. Let's rest our arms fully, actually. Let's just start stepping our leg out to the side. Perfect. So go at a pace that's doable for you. Okay, we talked about range of motion. We talked about speed of the movement. And our third one, oh, right, is how many parts of your body are moving at a time. So the more muscles that are working at one time, the more oxygen is needed to create. Yeah, you're going to need more oxygen. If you're just moving one leg at a time, it's only the leg muscles that need oxygen. And what is that oxygen used for?
Energy.
Energy, right? To create the ATP. Now, if we get our opposite arm moving with our leg, well, now we've got more muscles working. That means more ATP is needed. Now we need more oxygen. So on days where you might be struggling with your oxygen numbers or with feeling breathless, you want to do the opposite of it, right? On days where your body's not quite able to get as much oxygen in, that's where we adjust. So does that make more sense for why I constantly bring up those three things during class?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. With that being said, does anyone have any questions on those three things? and on what we've talked so far with endurance and how your body needs oxygen to create energy. No questions?
Just how do we improve it? How do we improve our endurance?
You got it. And that's what we're also going to get into. I love it. So rest there. Here's what we're going to do. We are going to create a baseline for everybody. Actually, quick question, because I noticed a little bit of choppiness. Am I freezing?
No,
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 Okay, good. Perfect. So just wanted to double check that. Okay.
You are now.
I am going to actually, I am now.
yeah, you are
Yeah.
now.
I'm going to, okay. So let me quickly change networks. It won't take long. But while I do that, I'll explain what we're going to do. I'm going to start my stopwatch and we are going to do some marching.
good.
And what we're going to do is I'm going to call out every 30 seconds and we're going to get a baseline for you. And if you want to do your own stopwatch to time it, that's awesome. Okay. Because we're going to create a baseline for what your endurance is today. So actually, if everyone wants to grab a pen and paper, that would be probably super, super helpful so that we can write it down for you and we'll refer back to it next week. Where's my hotspot? I guess this is why I should focus on what I'm doing. I always think I can double task.
So do I, Jill.
It's the struggle, isn't it? Okay. So has everyone got either, you can either type it onto your computer, if you got a piece of pen and paper, is everybody good? Everyone's back? Just having a quick look at all the videos. Yes. Okay. All right. So the first thing you are going to write down is I want you to have a quick assessment of your body on your, we're going to do 2. We're going to rate it out of 10. So the first, you can write down energy. And I want you thinking about, okay, how is my energy today? A 10 out of 10 is I'm full of energy. I've got lots. A 0 out of 10 is you're asleep. Like you can't keep your eyes open because you've got nothing in there. So for you right now today, I want you to write down what is your energy at? Now, the second thing I want you to write is breathing. How is your breathing today? 10 out of 10 is your numbers look great. You feel really good and you feel like you haven't been struggling with your breathing today. A 0 out of 10 is what you cannot, for the life of you, catch your breath. Okay, so kind of,
again.
Can I ask a question, Jill?
yes, you sure can.
Regarding energy, I've got COPD and I've got it bad. So
Mhm.
my energy is never going to be great,
No.
right? Because whatever.
Yeah.
So is my energy compared to my best energy for me? Like, you know,
Yes.
yeah.
And I
okay.
love, Maureen, that you clarified that. Both these questions are whatever is best for you. Because I hear what you're saying. You're going, well, geez, even for me, I don't have my energy at its top is not going to match a 12-year-old's energy at their top.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's not what this is about. This is about you. This is your measurement.
Okay.
Yeah, because we can't really quantify your energy compared to someone else. That's not fair. This is all about you.
Okay.
So super good clarification. So guys, make sure both these numbers are for you. And I should have made that more clear.
Oh my God.
Okay, so you've got your rating out of 10 for your energy and your breathing. Now I'm going to wait till we've got 10 seconds and then we're going to start marching. I'm just waiting for the whole number on my watch, and then we're going to keep track of how long you're able to go for. So 3, 2, and march. So if you're having a lower energy day and or a lower breathing day, you might want to start off slower. So find a middle ground speed for you. And as we're doing this, and you can do this seated or standing, and remember standing is more challenging for your breathing and your balance. So as we're doing this, I want you to kind of think, okay, what's my cadence? What's my rhythm? And all that means is you can really simply tell by counting 1, 2, 1, 2. Every time your foot hits the ground, kind of get a sense of what your count is. Does that make sense? So some of us go and we're going 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Some of us start off, we're going 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So whatever your count is, that's okay. But let's start building and understanding.
How many seconds are we at?
We are past a minute, actually.
Ooh,
Good.
I don't know. what
Wow.
the number is.
Wow. Geez, and I said I would tell you every 30 seconds. It has been a minute and a half.
wow.
Yep. Super, super great, I'd say. Well, it's either been a minute and a half or it's been 45 seconds.
Oh,
Did we start when it was at the 3 or at the 4? I think it's been almost 2 minutes.
I don't think you should be timekeeper.
no.
I don't know what I was thinking, Clancy. You know, over the weekend, I learned that there's dyslexia with reading, and then I learned there's a number dyslexia, and that made me feel better about myself.
Well, you're doing a lot, like doing the exercise, you know, and talking to us and giving us instruction. And the idea of anyone being able to count also, I don't know, they're kind of a different planet than I'm on.
Yes. So thank you for your patience, everybody.
Doing good.
Now we're almost at 3 minutes. So you're doing great. And if you need to rest, rest. This is all about finding what your baseline is. It's not a competition with anybody else. And this is to get a number so that you can work on improving it over the next couple of weeks. So that's 3 minutes. Maintain your breathing pattern, everybody. And I'm going to cap it at 5 minutes. And again, some of you go for walks every day, so this feels really good. Some of you are more limited, and that's okay. So maintain your breathing pattern, everybody. Remember to breathe out through pursed lips. And if you're resting, remember your recovery breathing. Remember, you can go into a recovery position, which is hands on your thighs. Okay, 1 more minute if you can, but that's where I'm going to just cap it, stop it there, no matter what. Great job, everybody. Remember, some things to look out for is if you're starting to feel like you can't catch your breath, you feel a little shaky, if you feel dizzy, those are all signs that you need to stop and just focus on your breathing.
So I stopped at 2 minutes. Is that my number, 2 minutes?
That's your number.
Okay.
You got it.
I started up again after that, but I had to take a rest.
There you go. And so that's okay too. We're going to write that down as well. So So we got 10 seconds left on the clock, guys. And rest. So again, steadily breathing. Think about filling up that belly. Breathe out through pursed lips. Now, there are a few things we're going to write down here. I want you to think about what your speed was. So remember when I told you to think about that count, that 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Think of it, was it fast for you? Was it on the slower side for you, or was it that medium?
Medium.
And so whatever it was for you, I want you to write that down. And why I'm getting you to do that as well is because that has an impact on how tired we felt. So if you felt like you were going fast for you and you had to stop at the minute mark, well, you probably could have gone a little bit longer if you had slowed it down a little bit. Okay. And if you had on the earlier rating kind of rated your energy and breathing as being low and you felt like just now you were going slow for you, well, of course, that makes sense. You're having a low energy day, a low breathing day. So you need to go a little bit slower. Now, I kind of messed it up because you may have stopped and not been aware of what time you stopped at, because I didn't say every 30 seconds. We got to the 90-second mark and I went, oh, you're doing great. So I want you to write down to the best of your ability, your estimate of when you stopped. So remember, we stopped at the 5-minute mark.
Mhm.
I think I gave you every minute after that. Perfect. So what that means for you is when you're on your own, and if you felt like you could have kept going, then what I would encourage you to do is to think about how far or how long of a walk you go on and use that timing. So there's a couple different things because we want to know, well, how do I improve that? How do I improve my endurance? How do I improve my lungs' ability to keep providing me with oxygen while I keep moving? You're going to take those numbers and we're going to practice. So if you got to the 2-minute mark and if you were able to go and then needed to stop and then keep going, so let's say you did the full 5 minutes, but you had 2 breaks, write that down. Write down if you had a break and then kept going, because that's super, super important. Because then as we get better with our endurance, you're going to be able to go for longer and take fewer rests. Now, this can be something that you practice at home with this marching.
Yes.
We wrote down your energy and your level of breathing so that you understand, well, if on a day you're going, what the heck, I did 4 minutes with Jill on Wednesday, why am I only doing 3 minutes today? And then you look at your rating of your energy, you go, oh, I feel low energy today. And oh, my breathing is feeling worse today than it did on Wednesday. Well, that's why, okay? So you have to be kind to yourself. That's why it's helpful to write down those things too. But if you practice that and you've got your cadence, so that you know, okay, if I was going my medium speed, I'm going to do my medium speed right now. How far do I get? And you try to get that time. And you try to reach that time. As you build up your endurance, you'll find yourself either less tired to reach that time, and then you'll find yourself able to go a little bit further. Does that make sense to everybody?
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
So if you want that endurance to improve, and we're already exercising twice a week, well, 1 or 2 other times in a week, practice your marching.
Mhm.
And if you like going for a walk, and I interrupted myself earlier when I said, okay, if you regularly walk longer than 5 minutes, well, okay, you know, track how long you walk for. And now, can you cut a minute off that time? So if you have a specific loop you go for and you go, okay, it takes me 15 minutes to walk that loop. Okay. Can you do it in 14?
Or how many stops?
For how many stops, Clancy?
Like, if you're walking half a block, could you also measure it with how many times you have to stop? That
Exactly.
means you're focused much more than amount of time.
Exactly. Yep, absolutely. Just like what I said with, if you were able to do 5 minutes of marching right now with us and you had to rest, if you want to do work on your endurance outside and you go for a walk and you know you stop 5 times when you walk around the block, perfect, track that.
Around the block.
Or whatever it is, right?
That's an
Maybe
half a
Cal
block.
Tire Place, you walk down the road and back. It's whatever that looks like to you. Yep, and that's why I got you to write your rests down too.
Yeah.
So if you're able to go without stopping and you're going for more than 10 minutes, that's where it can be helpful, either trying to go for that extra couple minutes. You can try to do it in a minute less, the same distance. And then if you're needing to stop and rest, okay, well, now our goal is, can we over the couple of weeks, can we rest less and be able to go longer? So if you're someone who needs to stop and rest, the 2 things you should be looking at is, how long did you go before your first rest? Because the longer you're going, no matter what, your body gets more and more tired. And that has to do with our ATP production. And how many rests did you need to take during that time? Has everyone got that? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep.
Any questions on that piece?
How
No?
about with your energy level? Does anxiety have anything to do with that?
Yeah, that can make you more tired, for sure. Especially the day after. And the reason for that is when you get anxious, or when you have a lot of company over the weekend, or when some other stressful event happened, your nervous system had to get all fired up for that. And it had to work hard for that. The next day, just like after exercise class, it's going to be tired. And when your nervous system gets tired, you are tired.
Yeah,
Right? Same with
yep.
if anyone has also any sort of heart condition or arrhythmia. You know, my mom's got arrhythmia, and the day after she has afibrillation, so her heart sometimes gets out of beat, out of sync. Well, if she has an AFib episode, she's tired the next day. And it's the same principle. Your heart works super, super hard. Because either in afibrillation, either your heart skips beats. So it'll kind of go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. It might do something like that, where it's skipping, all of a sudden it races and then slows down. That's a type of stress. That's a type of workout. Not a great one, not the one we usually think of, but it's a type of workout for the heart. So same with if you've got a day where maybe you had to go to the store and that was really stressful to you, and you had a moment of feeling very, very anxious, think of that as a workout for the nervous system. Okay? And so absolutely the next day, there's a chance you'll be a bit more tired. Same if you had a bad sleep, guys.
Okay.
If you have a bad sleep, you're in for a more rough day, right? It affects your energy, might affect your breathing. Things will feel a bit more achy. Okay. So those are definitely different considerations to take into account. Good, we still got lots of time. So we talked about our aerobic system, our endurance, being able to go for a longer period of time. The other system is called your anaerobic. And anaerobic means your body is not able to keep up to the oxygen demand. So a good example of that is, a good example between the two differences in the systems is who watches the Summer Olympics?
I do.
Yeah,
Have.
most of you are familiar with track and field events. So
Mhm.
we've got our long distance runner, right? 3,000 meters. That's aerobic. That's endurance. They're able to keep going. Now we've got our 100-meter sprinter. They can go for a short period of time. It's a mass effort, but it's not sustainable.
Yep, that's the one, all right.
Right. And the reason I bring that up too is because some days, if you're having a bit of a struggle of a day, a movement that is normally aerobic for you might feel more anaerobic. If you're having a low oxygen day, marching might be anaerobic. If your body's not able to match the oxygen that your body needs for that movement. Okay, and anaerobic, you probably understand the concept between, well, if I don't have enough oxygen, I'm not getting very far. Okay, those are, and so you got to be aware of that on certain days. If things feel kind of that more anaerobic, you're feeling that breathlessness, you're feeling like you can't keep up, you got to go slower and you got to modify it because it's not sustainable. You need oxygen to be able to create energy in order for you to move. So, an example, we're going to move a little bit fast. And again, this is all about you and what you are capable of. So you go at your pace. You push yourself, whatever fast is to you, and we're only going to go for 10 seconds. Sound good?
What are we doing, a fast what?
We're going to march. And remember, the more body parts you move, the more oxygen you need. So if you want to just pump your arms, that works great too. Okay, so we're going to work for 10 seconds, everybody, to whatever your level is. And it's okay to get a little bit, to have your breathing increase, so panting a little bit, but you don't want to feel out of breath. Sound good? All right, ready and go. You've got 10 seconds. So whatever is challenging for you, 3, 2, and rest.
I forgot to count.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, for that one, you don't have to worry so much about. Don't worry about the cadence. But can everyone feel their heart rate pick up?
No,
Little
A
bit.
little bit.
Little bit. Yeah, perfect. And again, it was just 10 seconds. Just that brief little whoop, and then we're bringing it back down.
well, that was good.
That was good.
Yep.
And anaerobic is something people really have to train to be able to do safely. I'm just giving you kind of the example of it. And I think it's important for you to be aware of, because like I said, on days where you're having a rough breathing day and your oxygen numbers are low, certain movements that normally feel good for you can feel more anaerobic. And that's when you got to be careful and just understand. I feel like if you have the understanding and knowledge of what's going on, you are more equipped to modify things at home for yourself. And so that's why I'm giving you this information, okay? But training, like we're not gonna go stand up and do sprinting. That's just not realistic. That's not what this group is about. But to give you that understanding of getting that heart rate up a little bit and then bring it back down, that is safe for you. And we're gonna do it again, because I was stalling a little bit to give you that rest time in 3, 2, and march, go, go, go. There we go. Make sure you're breathing. It's a quick little burst and rest. Nice work, gang. And we're going to do 3 more of those if you feel comfortable with that. And again, you're going at your own pace. You should expect to feel your heart rate pick up a little bit. Maybe you're checking it on your oximeter. That's awesome. You should expect to suddenly need to maybe catch your breath, or you need to focus and take a couple deeper breaths. Okay, that's all normal stuff for you.
Okay.
Yes.
Jim, what happened is when I move, like more exertion of energy, it's like aside from shortness of breath, there's like tight on my chest.
Mm-hmm.
And when I look at the oximeter, it seems normal, like 98.
Yeah.
And the heart rate is like 102, but I don't understand. This is my big question, why I feel that.
Yeah, so that's a great question, because I'm sure some people are either feeling that exact same thing or have.
Yeah.
So when your oxygen numbers look normal and your heart rate is up a little bit because you just worked hard, that tightness in the chest can be a couple things. One, you just might not be used to exerting yourself in this way, right? Because it doesn't really happen. It's something that you do purposefully. There's not many opportunities in our day-to-day where you suddenly have to have that burst of speed or burst of work.
Because after the COVID, I got that fibrosis, the interstitial fibrosis, and I'm having that this problem like shortness of breath. And
Yes.
it doesn't go back to my normal.
Yep. So stiffness, right? There's you can think of it as your lungs being a bit stiff. So when the lungs are a bit stiff and they don't expand and contract as smoothly, well, now the muscles, your intercostal muscles, which attach to your ribs, and when you breathe in, those muscles help open up your ribs. And then when you breathe out, they help pull the ribs in. Now, if you've got kind of that stiffness in your lungs, those muscles have to work harder. And that can be a reason why you're feeling that tightness in your chest.
Yeah, because
it's because the muscles are working harder and now they're a bit more tired and they're a bit more tight. And also because the lungs themselves, that tissue is a bit tighter.
Yeah, because I was checked by my cardiologist and I was free from the cardiologist. Like all my lungs are, all my heart are good. Like my heart is good, like okay.
Mm-hmm.
But where is this shortness of breath coming from? Is they said it's from lungs.
Yeah. So again,
this is what I'm dealing. I got my COVID in 2020 in December, and I haven't been back to work. I'm doing rehab from WCB 3 times a week, but
there you go.
In the swimming pool, but I'm practicing the pacing. I can handle my endurance pacing in half an hour in the swimming pool, but going like more movement becomes I will go back to where I was.
Yeah. And that's again, that's a bit more of a rare case. And like I said, you can think of it as stiffness in the lungs, stiffness in those muscles. You can think of it as if what your endurance is, and this is good for everybody, guys, it's a teachable moment, is when we talk about going faster and picking up the intensity, you don't have to go from this level to this level,
Yeah, even I,
right? Picking
Yeah.
up your intensity can be from here and going just a little bit more. And that's where you would want to be really careful, right? If you know you feel pretty good at this 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, going faster and exerting yourself shouldn't look like 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, go, 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 go. You want to start off a bit slower and go from your 1, 2, 1, 2. And then when we say go more intensity, go faster, you want to go from 1, 2, 1, 2 to 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So go a little bit faster and see how that feels. Are you able to maintain your breathing pattern with that? So everybody, your legs are going to be sick of marching by the end of today. March with me at your slow pace. So whatever is slow for you, seated or standing, whatever you are most comfortable with. And in your head, I want you making that count. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now, I want you to think about having 5 gears. We are in gear number 1. 5th gear is whatever is fast for you. Okay? And again, for anyone who's experiencing something similar to Carmen of that tightness, exertion, remember a couple different ways. As the more body parts are moving, the more oxygen's needed. So maybe you need to start learning your gears just with your arms or just with your legs. Okay? Now, let's go into gear 2. So if you're going 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, let's pick it up just a little bit. 1, 2, 1, 2. So it's not a big difference, but you're going just that little bit quicker than your first gear. Okay, now gear 3. So you pick it up just a little bit more. You can tell that it's faster than gear 1, but it's still manageable. Gear 4. So then you go just that little bit faster. And then gear 5. And back to gear 1. Quick check-in, making sure you're maintaining your breathing pattern.
What if we only have 4 gears though?
If you've only got 4 gears, that's okay. That's no problem.
Coast.
You just want to coast. Hit neutral.
There you go.
Hit
That's a good
neutral and
one.
just
Neutral.
relax. Cruise control. Hit gear 2. And again, if those legs get tired, move just the arms. Whatever is best for you. Gear 3. Just that little bit faster. Gear 4. Gear 5.
Coast.
Coast. And gear 1. Nice work, gang. So again, if you need to stop and do your recovery breathing, maybe get into your recovery position, then do so. This is your class. You got to do what is best for you. Maintain that breathing pattern. And gear 2. There we go. Excellent job, gang. Maintain your breathing, especially breathing out through pursed lips as best you can. Gear 3. Gear 4. Gear 5. Gear 1. We're gonna do one more. One more all the way up. Great job, gang. Gear 2. Good. Maintain that breathing pattern. Gear 3. Good. Gear 4. And gear 5. Gear 1.
Oh,
Well done, everybody. Excellent. Now, for those of you that can, I'm getting you just to hang out in gear 1 because that often is helpful for recovering your breath. Some of you need to just focus on your breathing in order to recover your breath. We just want to bring your heart rates back down. Okay, did everyone feel like they were able to kind of gradually go a little bit faster and then back down?
yep.
Yes.
Awesome. Do you feel like you have a better understanding of what it means to increase intensity rather than just slow or fast?
Yeah.
Good. And Carmen, how did that feel on your chest?
Yeah, it feels okay. Like my breathing is like from 2 goes up to like 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't go up like 7. I don't want to go there.
Yeah, there you go. So
Yeah.
you were able to find something that challenged it without taking you to kind of a flare up or
Yeah.
feeling unmanageable. You were able to find something that was challenging yet doable for you.
Yeah.
There we go. That's what I like to hear. And rest. Okay, gang. Well done. Any questions on that piece?
That stiffness, can that just happen randomly? Because that's what I seem to hit. Is I'm used to the deep breathing, I'm well practiced in it. And then just randomly, it's like a full breath just does not come in. And that's
Yeah.
what it feels like. It's just like it's stiff and frozen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and some of that for you specifically, Clancy, is your muscles, right? You've got that bit of that muscle weakness, and your body struggles to pick up that oxygen into your muscles, and then just the lungs. The lungs get tired, guys. When we talk about challenging your breathing, just like doing our sit to stands is kind of sore on your legs, and those legs muscles get tired. Your breathing muscles get tired. And again, you've got those intercostal muscles attaching to your ribs that help you open up your ribs. You got your diaphragm underneath, which is a muscle that contracts to help you take in that breath. Those muscles get fatigued, just like your other muscles.
Might add, it might also be a bit related to that air trapping that people with COPD get. So
Yes.
as you're trying to work at those faster paces or kind of, you're breathing more quickly, you're not having as much time for that exhale, more of that air might be getting trapped. So by the time you're a little bit further into that interval, you're trying to take a deep breath on air that's already there. So you're not kind of being able to pull in that same volume. So you might kind of be feeling, even though you're working on your personal breathing to help with that, but that may be part of the limitation with your lung disease. It may feel that way, particularly at working at those harder efforts.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Did you have a question, Gerard? You have your hand up. You want to unmute?
There we go.
Hi,
Hello?
Gerard.
Okay. An oxygen level. I can't sustain anything of any exercise at all without my oxygen support. Now, what oxygen level should I stay at? What range should I stay at? Should I stay between 93 and 97, or try and stay at 94 or 92, or where should I stay?
Yep, that range is good, Gerard. And it's normal for exercise for it to drop 1 or 2.
Absolutely.
That is normal because we do get into a little bit of an oxygen debt. So as long as it can drop a little bit and then come back up, that's awesome.
Okay. All right. So
So
94,
keeping it in that range, like you said, is a great idea. Yep,
okay, good enough. That's
you
good.
got it.
Excellent.
And just going back to that air trapping, gang, did everyone understand what that means for you when it means you can't take in that deep breath and what it means to have that air trapped in your lungs?
I understand it, but I don't know how to stop it.
Gotcha. 2 things. One is keep working on your endurance. So we talked about the ability to go at a steady pace for a longer period of time.
Right.
And then another thing, so if you notice, and again, this is where kind of that assessment piece helps because we get a baseline. If you notice that tightness in that little speed ups that we did 4 of them, and you notice that it started feeling tight at the 4th gear.
Yeah.
Well, you want to practice going from 1, 2, 3 and back down to 1 so that we're getting into that, we're challenging your body's ability to get that air out even when it has to work harder.
Right. Gotcha.
But again, when we talk about challenging yet doable, if you're working to the point where it's not able to get out and that air is getting trapped, we don't want to work in that zone.
No.
But
you
can
don't.
we get better at it below that? And as it gets better, then you should find yourself being able to push into that, let's say, 4th gear without that air trapping.
Got it.
And when we talk about improvements being made, guys, it doesn't happen in one session.
No.
It might take 2 weeks, it might take 6 weeks. If there is, takes a couple weeks at least for that slight improvement to happen. So you do have to be consistent with it and you do have to be patient with it.
Sure. Yep. Of course. That's good. Thank you, Jill. Thank you.
Perfect. Oh, of course. Of course. Guys, this is your Q&A time. Ask your questions.
I'm just wondering one more question. Do other people find it more difficult to breathe outside when they're walking when it's windy? I find when it's windy, I have a really hard time breathing. Do you guys find that too?
Yeah, I do.
You do, yeah.
Yeah.
Real.
Yeah. Remember when it's windy, even if you don't notice it, there are more particles in the air. So it's kicking up more pollen, it's kicking up more dust, even if it's not to the point where you can see it.
Right.
You are getting more of that kind of gunk into your lungs.
Yeah.
So you mentioned about how when it was raining, how like plugged sinuses and everything is for you. Have I got that right? You get plugged up with you know, if it's raining out, if there's a lot of humidity.
Me?
Yeah, you said something about it a couple of days ago. I'll try and figure it out.
Oh, yeah, because I brought up.
What would cause it?
Well, yeah, so I hear what you're saying. So I talked about yesterday how on Monday I was coaching. And I was coaching in the rain. So when it's a bit colder out, a common response is for your nose to run. So there's an increase in mucus production. And when it's a little bit cold, a little bit damp, that can cause a little bit more inflammation in your lungs.
Oh.
Yeah, which not necessarily a bad way, just that little bit of inflammation because it's got to work through all that. So I was yelling and coaching lots, which was causing a little bit of inflammation in those vocal cords and the throat. And then I had more congestion because it was chilly out.
Well,
So that's what that meant, Miss Clancy.
well, I'm glad I asked.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
had no idea all that was going on.
Yeah, it's like if you go outside in the winter, you go, oh, geez, my nose is running.
Yeah, but it's pretty cold then for that.
Yes, yes,
Skiing, you notice that your nose goes.
yeah. But I was running around, and I haven't done that in a long time because of my knee. So it was really brought up a lot of stuff
Right.
that's just been fermenting in those lungs.
You sound like a good brew.
I hope so.
This is
Now,
not a
any
good
other
pic- This is not a good
questions?
picture.
You're welcome for that. Now, any other questions on what we talked about today, gang? We covered a lot of different things, and I had quite a few tangents, for being honest with each other.
It was good today.
Very good.
Yes, thanks.
Perfect.
Thanks, Jill.
Thank you, Jill.
Yeah, thank you, Jill.
Absolutely, everybody. Thank you so
Thanks,
much
Jill.
for coming out.